So, I have been the kind of person who would be so anxious about change occurring in my life that I didn't expect. Even though I personally grew up in an environment that had a lot of just canon events occurring that I needed to think quick on my feet for, I still just enjoyed, the prospect of knowing what is gonna happen to me in the next few days. And so I liked things to be predictable. But I realized that there is something more to having a fear of change, such a big aversion to change. And I started thinking, reflecting, why am I so scared of unpredictability and change when sometimes I secretly crave chaos in moments of stagnation? Because I am so used to an environment where it wasn't really stable, and you just needed to be quick on your feet and be able to think on your feet quick. And I realized that my fear of change stems from a fear of having a dysregulated nervous system and not knowing what to predict next, kind of gets me into a fight or flight state, because I would be thinking in life or death terms. And this change I am mostly referring to as change that is negative. You hit an unexpected moment in your life where you're like, where the fuck did this come from? My life was going so good. What do you mean I have to give it all up now, basically? And in the past, whenever something like that would happen, I would instantly feel a lack of control in that sense. And I think that's where that fear stems from, is not being able to control the outcome of this, unprecedented circumstance. But now, I feel like it is really important to be able to detach your ability to maintain a sense of inner stability and to regulate your nervous system from the chaos that is happening in your physical world. Because really, most of your growth as an individual occurs during these periods of change, unexpected change. And when this occurs, you really just gotta ask yourself, what do I have to be scared of? For example, my scenario here is I haven't been back to my home country in over a year now, and I suddenly get this call from my dad being like, hey girl, we need you back here because we've run into some like financial mishaps. And I was like, oh, girl, I was not planning on coming back. Like, I wasn't planning on coming back anytime soon because I had gotten so used to living here and sort of knowing what to expect, you know? And if this were to happen to me, maybe I'd say like even 6 months ago, I'd be freaking the fuck out. I would be like, oh my God, I don't want to give up my life here in America. What if like this happens? What if that happens? And now, ever since I started detaching my inner sense of stability and my ability to regulate my nervous system from the external circumstances being chaotic, you know, I have just started being like, yeah, what if that happens? I'll be able to thug through it. And that is the mentality that I think that everybody should start adopting if they are afraid of change and afraid of being unable to predict the outcome of a circumstance, because at the end of the day, these moments are required in order for you to grow. At the end of the day, it's always going through it, right? Like you say that I'm going through it. So you go through it. You can't like run away from it. You have to go through it. You have to walk through the fire. But just know that you are going to be able to get out of it. First of all, a changed person. And second of all, you're going to learn so many new things about yourself. And this can apply to any scenario, really, that you aren't necessarily fond of. Like, for example, you encounter a sudden, like, dip in your finances, let's say. Like, your business isn't doing as well. Don't just run to the worst case scenario where you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna lose all my fucking money. Everything I've worked so hard for is just gonna vanish. Because first of all, hey man, life is gonna shit in your face no matter what. Okay, like it just happens. And sometimes things happening are completely out of your control. And that is something that I have had to come to terms with, is that no matter how well you are doing in your life, no matter how stable you think you have structured your life, there is always going to be like a fuckery that is going to happen, no matter how much you try to avoid it. And that's the thing. The more you try to avoid something happening, the more likely it is going to happen to you. That's just how it is, because you place so much energy into hoping that this thing doesn't happen. So you work around it. You think about all the ways that you can, avoid this specific thing from happening. But the more you contribute your energy and your effort into mitigating it, the more the universe, this is gonna get a little bit woo-woo here, but I am ultimately a woo-woo girl. because I'm a fucking fairy, okay? So just listen to what I have to say here. The universe, the more you're contributing and directing your energy towards something that you don't want happening, the more it's gonna play in your face and be like, okay, since you're putting so much energy into thinking about this thing, I will make this thing happen for you. Because it doesn't know that you're thinking about these things and, you know, like the universe doesn't know that the reason why you're thinking about this specific thing so much is because you don't want it to happen. But it's because you've directed so much of your energy and so much of your emotions, so much of your time and effort into hoping that this thing doesn't happen, that it ends up happening. And that's why. So, you can't run away from shit going wrong in your life. Wrong. I say wrong in quotation marks because really it's only wrong. A situation is only wrong if you perceive it as wrong. Because who knows? Like, for example, with the business example that I had previously, mentioned, maybe your business had to experience a dip in order for it to go back up again. Who knows? Maybe the market just wasn't, doing so well in whatever regards your business is contributing to. What if, hey, it just needed to dip a little in order for it to go back up again? Because if you think about it, rock bottom, if you hit rock bottom, there is nowhere to go but up. And the way you get up is to go through the mess, is to really just walk through the fire and be like, I can fucking handle this. You know what? I really got nothing to be scared about. I really do not have anything to lose. I only have something to gain out of this. Every loss is a gain. And that is the mindset that I've started subscribing to. And I've had so much stuff happen to me over the past few weeks. Not even kidding. I'm not gonna go into what happened, but I should low-key be dead by now because of what's happened. But I'm not. And I am today the happiest I have ever felt in my life. And I wouldn't be the happiest I am today currently had those things not happened to me. Because the reason why I'm so happy today is because instead of avoiding the mess of reality, because I honestly couldn't, instead of running away from my problems, I started thinking, why am I running away from my problems? Why do I think that this is something that I can't, thug through? Because I have thugged through so many things in my life, as everybody has, and you make it out alive. You get out of it, and time will pass, and you'll start to think of those moments as oh my god, I can't believe that happened. That's crazy. And you'll make light out of it. And so I have started to realize that really life isn't that serious, and that when shit goes wrong, you should low-key just laugh about it and be like, hey, it be like that, genuinely. Because there are just some things that no matter how much you plan around something happening, it will still happen regardless. Because this life is truly really unpredictable. You cannot rely on your nervous system being regulated and having a sense of stability based on whether or not your external circumstances are stable or not, because you are only going to be signing yourself up ultimately for so much panic and so much stress, because you are putting so much faith into something that you don't have control over. I don't believe that anything is really in your control in this universe aside from your mind and your nervous system. And I have just learned that really fear is the only thing holding you back from things. And so you need to reflect really on, where is this fear stemming from? Why specifically this thing I am scared of happening to me? Like, for example, a fear of abandonment. You need to ask yourself, why do I have such a big fear of abandonment? And think back to your childhood. Maybe you trusted a lot of people who would, leave you at the end of the day, or would go behind your back and do fuckeries, And you will start to realize, oh, it's just a pattern that I am acting out of. And really, I think that any thought that you have that isn't in favor of what you want to do and what you want to achieve and who you want to be is only trying to hold you back. So whenever something happens in your life, really, you just need to develop this ability to be able to step back instead of diving head first into, what do we do? How do we get out of this? You need to take a step back and regulate your nervous system. And that is the number one most important thing in this life, I think, is having a regulated nervous system and being able to stay calm in situations that are stressful. That is the most important life skill that I think I will ever be able to cultivate, Because at the end of the day, like I said, you can only control so much from happening in your physical world, in your external reality, that, low-key, what if, lightning fucking strikes what if lightning strikes you one day? You don't have control over that happening. You don't have control over whether or not suddenly your house is just gonna fucking go up in flames because lightning struck it. Girl, you don't have really much control over truly what can go wrong externally. And I say this as somebody who has tried their best at, making sure that everything is stable outside of me, because otherwise I will freak the fuck out if I don't have everything in my control. But you need to realize that shit is gonna happen regardless. you truly have no full control over anything other than your inner sense of stability. And that inner sense of stability can be cultivated and developed. And once it's at a stage where it's developed enough, you really just do not care if shit goes wrong in your life. And you don't want it to go wrong in your life. And you didn't cause for it to go wrong in life, because basically what had happened to me, and this is something that I can talk about, is I was doing really well in school and keeping up a great routine. I was going to the gym every day, eating really healthily, and I was doing all my homework. I was on top of my classes, and I was like, yes, I have gotten into a flow. Nothing can possibly go wrong in my life. Until I literally needed to go to the fucking ER one day because I was fainting. And I was having seizures. And I found out that I literally had mono, strep, and staph. I looked completely fine. Even the doctors were fucking confused as to why I thought I was having sepsis. I didn't end up having sepsis, but instead I had mono, strep, and staph. And I didn't know that, and I was like, fuck, what the hell? And they're like, yo, you look honestly really healthy, and we didn't think that there was anything wrong with you, but it turns out you are very ill. And I was like, yo, bro, and I realized shit, my routine is gonna be destroyed because I won't be able to go out for what I thought was gonna be 3 days. But I ended up having to stay at home for 3 weeks. On my birthday, girl, I was fucking quarantining in my room. And you know what? I was having a good ass fucking time because I learned to be able to regulate my nervous system and to realize that there is a reason why this had to happen. At the best point in my life, at what I thought was the best point in my life, boom, all of a sudden, I am a Victorian child. Girl, how the fuck, I don't even know how the fuck I got those things. And now that I think about it, I was so burnt out from school that I think my immune system just got so fucking dog shit that I realized, fuck, I was overworking myself because I wasn't giving myself a break, and that I literally had to get physically ill for me to realize that I need a break and that I need to be able to learn how to rest without feeling bad about it. And had that not happened, had I not gotten so sick, I would not be, like I said, at the happiest point in my life now. Because when that happened, when I got sick, I was I had a moment where I was like, fuck, my routine's gonna be destroyed. Everything I worked for, it's just gonna disappear into thin air. And then I locked in and I was like, girl, I've been meditating every day for 5 years. I am not gonna let this affect me. And like, I was having the time of my life while I was sick. I just really started to learn how to enjoy being able to rest. And I would not have learned that had I not gotten sick. So now I, know when to take a break. Now I know when I need time to, relax. Because I didn't, I had these beliefs in me that ultimately weren't gonna do me any good. And one of those beliefs being, I don't deserve rest because I need to constantly work. Which is so not true. I think everybody deserves a moment to themselves, a moment to recalibrate, a moment to be able to just relax and not be on such high alert all the time. Because ultimately, like I said, at the end of the day, having an inner sense of stability that does not depend upon what is happening outside of you, and having the ability to regulate your nervous system. And that is why I say that change is a beautiful thing now. And if you would not be able to catch me saying that 5 years ago. I would be like, I hate change. I am scared of change. If my life is going good, I want it to keep going good. But honestly, were it not for change existing, you would never be able to identify what areas you need to grow in as an individual. And so I think of change now as a blessing almost from God or the universe or the when, or, whoever you ascribe the definition of God to, right? I believe that it is a lesson almost, and you can start to, figure out what areas can I cultivate growth in when this is happening to me. Like, why is this happening to me? Not, why is this happening to me? But, why is this happening to me? Do you see how those two are different? It's because one looked at it from a place of curiosity, and the other looks at it from an ego-driven insecurity. Like, oh, why is this happening to me? But instead of attributing your sense of worth or your stability to something happening to you, why not just genuinely look at it from a place of curiosity and to see how you can grow out of this thing happening to you? Because there is a reason why this thing is happening to you. Because you need to look at it from a place of, hey, this thing is trying to teach me something new. And you will learn to realize so many patterns that you had been subconsciously operating on, and cycles that aren't necessarily for your good, like for your own good, and that are in your favor. And you will learn to break out of them. And I just think that change now is so beautiful. Like a sudden, unexpected life change is so beautiful. And I have had to go through many sudden life-changing experiences in like such a short, period of time between the occurrences happening, that I just had to learn how to be okay with shit not going my way and shit just happening in my life back to back, that you're just like, yo, honestly, you could just laugh at it, because at the end of the day, it will be something that you laugh at in the future. It will be just another experience for you. So if you are going through something, if you are going through an unexpected period of change, realize that it is for your own good and take it as an opportunity to grow more as an individual. And that if you get out of this, you will have realized, like, damn, I really thugged going through all that. Like, props to me. And you will experience like a buttload of abundance in your life afterwards, because like I said, there is nowhere to go from rock bottom but up. And you will be so much more grateful for the good things that you'll experience after this period of distress. So that is what I wanted to talk about. I am excited to be going back home. And you would never have caught me saying that a year ago. But honestly, I'm so excited, because I get to grow. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's all I have to say. I'm going to start plugging my social media accounts and platforms. Noise, and more noise on basically everything. Like TikTok, Substack especially, heavy on the Substack, and Instagram. I don't really post on TikTok and Instagram that much anymore, because like in my previous video that I made, I just wasn't gonna fuck with short form content anymore, because I think that we should have the ability to enjoy long form content, because short form content is just gonna fry your dopamine receptors, honey. So yeah, but do look at my Substack, do take a look at my blog. I work really hard on her. I post every single motherfucking day on my Substack. So if you're into that, tap into that. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Next time you see me, I'll probably be in a pink girly room, because that's going to be my childhood bedroom. Okay, stay slutty. Bye-bye.